This is Darkworld at 10:30 here, and judged on my intro that you just seen, Steve Jobs has passed away. In case if it's news to you, he did pass away yesterday, I believe, sometime in the evening, due to pancreatic cancer. I believe they said it was a rare form of it. It's weird that this week I saw the movie 50/50, and I was going to give my review on it today, but I seen 50/50 about 2 days ago, and then the day after that, they released the iPhone 4S, and then now Steve Jobs is gone. So it's weird how these events happen. I never really followed Steve Jobs nor his work throughout the whole entire process of Apple. I always was with Windows or with Microsoft when Pixar came out and Toy Story came out. You know, I was in love with Pixar. Pixar always made great movies, everything. And I recently found out that Steve Jobs bought Pixar after he was kicked out of Apple, and then he created a computer system and was bought back through Apple again. Was considered one of the greatest CEOs of all time. I seen his commencement speech at Stanford University 2005 when that came out, and also a few times afterwards. I always knew that he was going to go, and as soon as he stepped down as CEO, I knew that he was in the last stages of his life and that he could have went at any time. It's sad that he left as soon as the new iPhone, came out, and that was it. Apple fanboys were angry at the new change, at the fact that the only change was the camera and everything. So now, I really have no idea what to really say about this. I don't know too much about Steve Jobs. I never knew him personally. But based on what I've seen from that speech that he gave in 2005, that this guy literally had a lot of ambition. He was a very special man and did many great things. I have one of his inventions here. I have an iPad. So an iPad with a keyboard on it, and it has a screen protector, but yeah, I have an iPad. Mike has an iPhone 4. We have the iMac right here. That's what I'm using. So I'm using the iMac. I'm using Final Cut. I'm using iMovie. I'm using a lot of things that if it wasn't for this man, none of these other brilliant ideas wouldn't exist. A lot of these YouTubers would be having a hard time coming out with YouTube videos because a lot of the great YouTubers use Mac. It started this whole thing, and it just was, it's like it started this. If it wasn't for iPhone, Android phones wouldn't really be out, now. He revolutionized things. He revolutionized the way we did music. He revolutionized, iTunes. Now, I'm not saying it's just Steve Jobs that did this. He had a whole team behind him, do this. It's just he came up with the idea, and it was created, and it worked, and it was really good. Now, without Steve Jobs' ideas, I don't know how the company is going to be run. I really don't know. I mean, I said a lot of bad things about Apple in the past, hence my laptop that broke in 2 months. And, I still have a problem with that, but what am I going to do? Nothing. But I'm really upset that I just spent $1,400 for no reason. Anyways, no, but let's go back to Steve Jobs. I know a lot of people that have been following Apple since, I don't know, day one, I guess, are feeling it deeper than, obviously, than I am right now. But Steve Jobs did pass away, and he's done a lot of brilliant ideas, and unfortunately, it's a little bit, it's a sad day, in technology, because I'm kind of saddened because I came into Apple very late in life. They were too expensive for me, so I could never afford Apple. But now that I got one, I love editing videos on it. I love the fact that it's organized. Everything is good. But Steve has offered so many things to the world, and it's just, you know, it's just amazing. He probably would have been a person I would love to meet, especially since he was such a successful CEO in the business that changed the world and didn't even go to college for it. You know, he just did it and got really, really, well, I'm not going to say lucky because he had skill, but, you know, even the most skilled people need luck too. But he's done so many great things, you know. I mean, it sucks that I got into Apple really, really late, especially this year. And, yeah, I got into Apple this year. So, you know, it's a little ridiculous. I mean, I was in love with Apple this year. You know, I went real crazy with Apple. After I got the laptop and the laptop broke, Mike had an iPhone. He bought an iMac. We bought the Apple TV. We bought, you know, I already had the iPad. He had an iPad too. Well, I have an iPad too, but, you know, it's just a bunch of things that happen, and, you know, it really saddens me today that somebody so great happened. Now let's hear about the conspiracy things that are happening right now. I already heard some rumors that Steve Jobs did not die in this way. When he left Apple, there was assassination attempt because they didn't want him to be a competitor against Apple. Ridiculous, right? There's already rumors for that. Another rumor is that the iPhone 4S was actually, the 4S stands for iPhone for Steve. Now, I think that's untrue. It's been proven untrue, but it makes a lot of sense. The 4S, iPhone for Steve. So maybe it was the last, and he died right afterwards, the day after, you know, so at least he can rest in peace. Now, another thing that's happening, that's the most stupidest thing in the world. According to a friend of mine who always does this research in the morning, he's told me that Steve Jobs gave his job to a homosexual CEO. I have yet to look into it, but I will be looking into it. And I will let you know in tomorrow's video if that was true or not. But if it is true, you know, he left a lot of responsibility on somebody that's like me. And it makes me really, really happy. You know, he gave a lot of homosexuals jobs at Pixar. A lot of people in Pixar are gay, and it's wonderful. You know, it's wonderful because they create this magic, so many things and media, and it's just allowing us to progress forward. He's done so much for the world, so much for us. He's done so much for everybody, even despite on some people who didn't even like him, that people are like Microsoft fanboys and say that Bill Gates is better and stuff like that. But really, I never liked my Microsoft experience. I always hated it. I just couldn't get Mac because Mac was just too expensive, and people told me that it was bad. But I don't know. You know, I haven't had a Apple product for more than a year yet, so I don't really know how long they would last, but that's my thing. However, Steve Jobs, you will be missed, and I know that there's a lot of family and friends out there that are saddened, a lot of Apple fans that are really saddened, but hopefully your legacy will live on and it doesn't die here. Hopefully the apple isn't rotten. Hopefully it just continues to go. And I believe that it can go. I believe that it can go, and I can believe that there are many great ideas out there. And hopefully the man that you left in charge is able to continue the company, and hopefully nothing bad happens. So, yeah. Also, bad news on Steve Jobs' part, besides him dying, the stupid Westboro Baptist Church decides that they're going to picket his funeral, according to their Twitter, saying that he never gave God the glory that he did with releasing these products and revolutionizing the world, that he's a sinner and some other things. I don't know what they say, you know, but they left it on the Twitter. But the ironic thing was, it was a tweet sent from an iPhone. hypocrites, I swear. Anyways, well, if there's allowing fans of Apple to go to the to this funeral, just be aware that the stupid Westboro Baptist Church will be picketing, saying God hates fags and stuff like that, even though really this has nothing to do with Steve Jobs, unless if the CEO that he appointed was gay, and that was the sin, the abomination. But I mean, that still, it doesn't make any sense, because there's no sin or abomination whatsoever. So anyways, guys, this has been Dark Ruler 1030 here, and on the saddened day of the fact that Steve Jobs is no more, it is definitely a really sad day for everybody. So I hope that you guys have a great day, and peace out.